only when you look back, some are like, ooh, that was terrible. So these things happen. But maybe I'm a bit of an optimist, but these failures or things that didn't seem right are the reasons that you can do better things.
So you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? Well, listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. You are all in for such a big treat today because we have a guest unlike any other that I've had on the show before. Her name is Yoky Matsuoka, and she has done some incredible things. I'm going to read these to you because it's just mind-boggling to me, all the things that she's done. So she was most recently the vice president at Google's healthcare organization. Before that, as a chief technology officer at Nest. Prior to Nest, she was a co-founder of Google X. She was also a professor at Carnegie Mellon University and the University of Washington. And her passion, more than anything else, and there are more accolades here that go on, is that she is a mother of four and she loves her children and she loves technology. And she wanted to bring the gift of technology and how it can simplify and help us to balance our lives as busy parents into the world. And so I can't wait for you to hear everything that she's done and her great story. Let's dive in. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Call Me CEO. And this is Camille Walker, your host. And I am here to talk to you today with someone who is forging the way, building and blending technology and family, helping you live your best lives. This is Yoky Matsuoka. She is the founder and CEO of Yohana. And I can just tell you right now that reading through her bio, I'm like, whoa, this lady is smart. And so I'm going to try to explain what this is, but really, at the end of the day, Yoky is going to have to tell us exactly what Yohana does. It's an independently led subsidiary of Panasonic, building consumer technology products and services to lead healthier and happier lives. But at the end of the day, her main objective is to help families and homes live a better, balanced life. So thank you so much, Yoky, for being here today. I am so excited to dive into your life and your story. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely, Camille. Thanks for letting me be here and to talk about this.
Yes, we are talking the week of Christmas, you guys. So we're both mothers of four children. I'm sure your house is crazy, just like mine. Tell our audience about you and how your story. I mean, I want you to rewind back to the beginning because there's a lot to cover. I'm excited to hear all that you have to share.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so all the way back. So I was born in Japan. I was trying to be a professional athlete. So tennis was it. And I moved to the US purely to play tennis.
Wow.
So that's when I was 16 years old. And I couldn't speak English. I couldn't understand the culture. It was a big adjustment for me.
Yeah.
But because I was, passionate about tennis, I was willing to jump into a very different environment. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. So in college, I thought I was going to just pursue tennis, but many injuries put me on the sideline. So I had to pick something else in my life to work on or to do. That's when I thought, well, I don't know my life without tennis. So what else can I do? I like math and science. And so I thought, okay, maybe I can build a robot that could play tennis with me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that was really like what my college has become. I've jumped into robotics. I've worked with graduate students and professors and then learned to build a robot. That even took me and I was at Berkeley, and then I took me to MIT to build a robot that could move its arm, and then do all kinds of things. And I built it from scratch. Bought like machine shop, designed electronic circuits, and then solder everything on my own to build a robot that at that point could move arms and then, manipulate objects and then do all those things, but it could not play tennis. So that was frustrating, to say the least. And I put all the AIs in, and then, I was at the world's most amazing institution, MIT, and I put every technology possible and still could not play tennis. Um, I decided to jump from learning technology and AI to neuroscience, where I learned human intelligence,
Mm.
why humans are so good at playing tennis, but not robots. Um, so all the way there, I was by then I was like 25 years old, just leading through passion of just playing tennis to get to the point where I got to. But that's the first time it dawned on me taking neuroscience class that there are a lot of people out there who's not a tennis player, who doesn't even get to live everyday life that they want because of some, injuries they've had or some disabilities they might have had, or they're born without, certain things that, maybe arm. Um, I thought, oh my God, I've been so selfish all my life, thinking just for myself of building technology and robot for me to play tennis with. But it really transformed me on that moment that I realized that all the things that I've learned so far can already start to help other people.
Yeah.
And ever since then, for last 2 decades, I have been really dedicating my life to the mission of building technology to help people.
Wow. Can we just, whoa, whoa, whoa. I love that you're like, okay, I'm going to play tennis. Were your parents like, yeah, like they just sent you, or did they come with you?
To the US, no, I came all by
You just came
myself.
by yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're 16, you come to the US by yourself. You try to do the tennis thing, injuries happen. And I love that you have the brains to be like, I can't play tennis right now. How about I build a robot to play with me? Like, that is incredible. I don't know. I'm just thinking, man, if my toaster breaks, I'll go buy a new one. Like, this is just beyond. I love that your mind works like that you create a path of solution. Like, what an incredible mind. And neuroscience, that's something actually my teenager is interested in. I think, especially right now with his journey of that has been more the mental health side, like,
Yeah.
why is it that my brain works this way and others don't? Or how can we work through this? So I just love that you're a doer. Like, you just follow your passion and you go after what it is that you want done. And I don't see that as selfish. I see that as solution building. That's very entrepreneurial. So how cool. Okay. So you went to college, you did the tennis thing that didn't work out. You tried to create a robot, and now you're into neuroscience. So what happened from there?
Yeah. So then I graduated with a PhD. I also ended up going to Harvard to really retool myself to be able to do, world-class research in building technology for different people with physical learning, mental differences.
Wow.
And I became a professor. Not
Why
totally
not?
like, I know, right? Like
Yes.
starting from a tennis player to become a professor is hilarious, but really threaded all through the passion of wanting to build something for people. When I was getting out of school, I looked around and said, could I work for a company that builds technology that gives solutions to the kind of people that I wanted to work with? The
Mm.
answer was not really.
Mm-hmm.
There were research level things going on in different companies, but I thought, no, the understanding of how those people's brain work and what they're looking for, as well as how to build a technology for them that's useful in everyday life, is missing. And the research is where a lot of effort has to go in. So I became a professor. I've always wanted to also, in the back of my mind, thought it would be super cool to go into industry, super cool to build my own company at some point. But as I thought about the order at which that I do things, I thought, no, right now, research is really needed, as well as going from researcher to going and building companies is sort of the easier path, rather than starting a company for years and then, not been in touch with research and trying to go back to be a professor.
Wow. Okay. So at this point, I know that you have a big family. At what point did you start that family? Have we entered that realm of your story yet?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I have 4 kids. My first kids ended up coming in set of two. That started right after I became a professor. I met my husband. And then we started a family in Pittsburgh. I was a professor at Carnegie Mellon. And yes, so suddenly I've always wanted to have a lot of kids. I wanted to have 7 kids. My husband wanted to have 0. So we said, 4 would be
In
a
the
good,
middle.
compromise. So, we started with 2. It was so hard. It was like harder than anything I've ever tried. But kids were super adorable. Work was really fun. Had a good marriage, and then I didn't know what to do because they all couldn't fit in my life.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think that really started around that era of just balancing through. Didn't want to give up on obviously having more kids or just having really dedicated myself as a great mom. I don't know about the word great actually, but and then as well as just really pursuing to change lives for people through my research. So that's around the time that I've realized that I have to give up some things. And what I gave up was cleaning my own home. Sometimes I was all into cooking my own food all the time, but I gave up and then I let my husband cook. I let other people cook. And then that process of shedding some things that it's okay to let go and to keep fitting things that really matter to me started.
I love it. So we're at a point now where you've had your kids, you're working as a professor, and I know that that's not where your story ends because we have like 4 or 5 more titles. So walk us through what happened next.
Yeah. Okay. So, what happened in 2009 was I received a phone call from Google to say, hey, come and then join us and build this thing called Google X. Google X is basically what they're known for is to produce moonshots, things for the future of the world, future of Google, to transform people and the society. I thought that was an incredible opportunity to jump from academia to industry to Silicon Valley to learn about how things are really built. I also felt that around that time that maybe some of the technology that I've been building may be ready for people who can use it. And I had this itch that I just could not scratch, which is to work with people. By then, I also had a nonprofit that I started to work with people who had different kind of challenges on daily lives. And then we were building hardware and different technology to solve their problems, but still wasn't enough. I thought, how do I learn to build massive consumer products or services that would allow me and some of those technology backgrounds that I've, was able to gain to really help people. So anyway, that I used that to move our entire family over to Silicon Valley. By then we had the 3rd kid. And so 3 kids, husband, myself, we just moved over and started the whole career in the industry. But anyway, that was so amazing that being closer to this, building consumer products. And to be honest, like the Google X still is trying to go for moonshots, felt a lot closer to research. I jumped the ship to join this company called Nest, which ended up building smart thermostats and then actually got acquired by Google again. But, to ride that ship from the beginning and learning how to build a consumer product in the way that incredible iPhone at Apple was built. Leadership of the company was all the people from Apple who were, known for even a godfather of iPhone, to build something super beautiful that people use every day, to build a smart thermostat with them and really beating some of the fundamental thoughts and ways that I've lived my life being wrong in how to build consumer products. But we have to think not technology first, but consumer first, really trying to figure out what could become scalable, not something that we do in a lab for 3 people. All of that was an incredible learning, and it was worth moving here in Silicon Valley to learn.
I think it's so interesting because you're obviously very multi-talented and you have so many gifts. And I love that you were able to weave in and out of like, okay, well, I'm going to build upon this and go over here. And now I'm needed this way. And I'm going to go over here because so many women that I talk to many times feel like they are stuck in one thing and they can't move ship, or it'll like take away their identity or what they've known, or, but I've already chosen this path to be a teacher. I can't move to something else, something like that, where it can feel like if you picked the one, you're done, which I love that yours is so, gosh, you've been everywhere. Like you've done so many things. So tell me,
Yeah.
how are you able to, in the midst of all of these incredible things that you're building and doing, how are you able to maintain a healthy balance and mindfulness with your young family? I know that that's a huge core value that you have.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I've always felt was that I got this one life to live. I'm given this life, and I didn't want to be stuck, quote unquote, right,
Mhm.
somewhere because of something I didn't choose. One of the amazing things in this, I feel like the US especially um, allows us to do is to have that choice. Where, I mean, there's many circumstances that makes us stuck, and then we have to deal with that. But in many ways, we are allowed to and then have the license to pivot. And sometimes it doesn't make sense, right?
Yes.
But when I ask again, like then when I actually often do this, I meditate and then clear my brain from this wherever that I feel stuck or wherever the politics I'm involved in or the friendship or the whatever that's so tangled up. And I say, well, I got one life to live. Am I okay today? Should I pivot? Should I get unstuck? So I review that on a very frequent basis. Um, I feel like I have to wake up in the morning and saying like today I might just die. So is this the way I want to die? And then I have to say, yep, I put myself on the right path. And if I die today, at least I tried the right things. And then I've pivoted and then took control of things I can control. And then, let things I can't control let it be and then not bother me.
Mm.
So I think that's been an important thing. And then for my kids' part, if somehow like things I can't control happen, and then if I have to pick one thing, of course, I'm going to drop everything and then be with the kids. And that's the most important thing that I do being a mom. So everything revolves around that. So, why do I have a job? Of course, I want to change the society and then many things I want to do, but it has to be on top of that and then be worth it. So every morning I leave and then I see these cute kids at home or like sometimes annoying teenagers, I'd say, but right. But I have to say, this is worth it. It's worth leaving them and then kicking butt somewhere else.
Mhm.
And so it has to be worth it. Whatever that we pick, we can't be stuck because it has to be worth it to do that. Um, and we all are given talents, some, in some capacity, like all different type of talents. And I really feel that they're supposed to be used in some way to change the society for better for the next generations. So I think that's another one. And I feel like also when I leave home, I'm showing an example to the kids,
Mhm.
saying, hey, kids, this is something that you should do too. You should find your own path. You should, get out, leave your kids behind on a daily basis and then contribute in a bigger thing than just raising your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think that there are talents and gifts that sometimes are unactualized if we don't take that risk of jumping in. And I'm curious with everything that you've done, and we're going to get to Yohana here in a second, but has there ever been anything where you've kind of taken a step back and been like, whoa, this is scary? Or has it always just been like, nope, like I know what I'm doing next, professor, tennis, like robotics? Has there ever been a time that you've stopped in your tracks and thought, oh, I don't know?
Yeah, actually, it's always scary. If
Okay,
it makes
good.
any sense, but
Yeah.
it's always scary and it's always uncertain. And often it feels like a total mistake all the time, right? So all of that is always there. Um, and only when you look back, some are like, ooh, that was terrible. So these things happen. But maybe I'm a bit of an optimist, but these failures or things that didn't seem right are the reasons that you can do better things. So, so situations that you're talking about, like I took a position as a CEO of a company that, was an amazing technology, amazing company. And then turns out it was a really, really difficult job.
Mm.
Company had to overcome a lot of the obstacles that, I felt like I can't help or the difficult. Then I thought, oh boy, did I choose wrong? Should I have even done this? So yes, I definitely doubted, but I did best I could for the situation. And so many things I did then is who I am now. Now it's like so many things a piece of cake because I've struggled then,
Mm,
right? So
yeah.
it's really great. It's hard to know in the moment. In a moment, right? I used to go under the blanket and cry. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. I can't do this. Like it is the end of the world and then I'm all done. But the day after came, I wasn't completely done.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm super happy that I got to experience all those things.
Wow. So, what was it in this journey that you then decided to leave Google Nest? I mean, that's a big company with, I'm sure, fantastic pay. What was it that made you think, I want to start Yohana? What was the
Mhm.
idea? What spurred that creation?
Yeah. So, it's funny, but since I was in grad school, that again, the thought of using technology to help people have not changed at all. But that was not quite fully implemented, executed, satisfied in all the places I'd been so far. Um, I wanted to create a playground, a place where we can fully put that in execution. It could have been at Google, it could have been at Apple, it could have been my own startup. And then I've looked at different configurations, how we could possibly make that happen. And as I started thinking and as about it and then started approaching some companies and said, hey, what I want to do is to build solutions. At that point, it was pre-pandemic, and I didn't say the word busy families,
Mm,
but it was for families to be healthier, and that they feel the connectivity with the family in a better way. Like, how could I build this? And then they had different versions of the idea based on wherever I may go. Like whether it's a VC, there was a certain pitch. If this was going to inside of a large company, then there was another pitch, right? So I built different versions of it to, in a way, like go quote unquote shopping to see where I could do this. So I already knew that I wanted to jump. Again, I don't live for pay or title or my success. I don't care for those things. Those
mm,
come along the way sometimes. But so I wasn't looking to get paid or I wasn't looking, I just didn't, those things didn't cross my mind, but I wanted to build this thing. And surprisingly, really surprising for me at that point, and now I understand why. But I ran into Panasonic. They were knocking on my door and said, "Hey, come and work with us." And I thought Panasonic in the U.S. is like TV and microwave, and I thought, no, I'm not partnering with them. I'm like such a snob. But then I started to get to know them. I started to learn about the company. I visited their headquarters and I learned their DNA, which is all about helping people in everyday life.
mm,
You might not feel it looking at their TV in a microwave, but man, their leadership team is every day is about how can we improve society better? How can we improve those daily lives better? And I thought, okay, I can work with these people. I resonate with them. I want to transform the company to get to a point where we are all together using this incredible platform of hardware and what they've done to make that leap together. So that's how I ended up having this partnership with Panasonic, who has actually, if you've ever traveled to Japan or other Asian countries, they're like the Apple of Japan, basically, that you get out of the door at the airplane from the airplane, and the first ad you'll see will be Panasonic, and every security system you go through will be Panasonic. And then you rent a
mm.
house in the Airbnb, and then there'll be 20 items that are Panasonic, from toasters to fridge to doorbell to door switches to lighting, everything is
Oh,
Panasonic,
wow.
right? Like it's really interesting. So as I thought about wanting to care for people and especially health and from home, and then, maybe even elderly care, maybe baby care, when I thought about all those things I wanted to do, it was a perfect fit because
Mm,
they had that platform and a hardware coverage that I wanted to build, spending my previous life doing so that I could use it to
right.
build
There were
services.
solutions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So that's how it happened. I partnered with them. They were super kind and very trusting to let us build our independent company, Yohana, to build service for busy families. When we started, it was pre-pandemic, right before. And
Of
then the
course.
pandemic happened. We like rented a building, and then 3 weeks later, like pandemic happened. Um, so going through it myself with 4 kids, school was off. No, the Zoom
Mm.
school. Like, oh no, like
The
video doesn't
worst.
work.
Yeah.
Mommy, tech service. Like, mommy, homework. Teacher's not paying attention to me. What do I do? I'm like, no, I can't do this with work and then starting company all at the same time.
Hmm.
But what I realized is that, maybe we all felt this way, but when we were all canned in our own house, we thought that this problem is so horrible and then it's just us and then we're alone. But when I was started to speak with other people and say, this is what I'm going through, like I've got
Mm.
no mental space, I might go crazy. And they're like, me too, me too, me too. And I thought, oh God, what I'm going through as a family, raising kids in a pandemic, it really, this enhancement of the problem that we've always had, which is the balance, has become this unbearable thing.
Hmm.
As we were thinking about exactly what to build, it became super obvious that we have to bring this well-being and balance into every family as fast as possible. And then that's what Yohana has become.
Oh, I love it. So for someone who's never heard of Yohana before, in a couple of sentences, what would you say this is what it does?
Yep. So Yohana is a modern family concierge service. It is a monthly subscription to enroll, and we get a lot of the what's on your to-do list done.
So for example, if you're looking to have your roof replaced or a plumber to come or daycare, those are all things that can be solved and sorted through in your app. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. So yeah, so we find people for your home, we find people for for your kids, but not only find them, but we take care of it end to end. So, you know, plumber, it's great. Getting a phone number is just the first step. You have to call them, you have to wait for them to call back, and you have to schedule. We do all of that. So based on, if you're a member who's willing to share free busy calendar view, then we book it all the way for you. We take care of all of that, right? So I think that's something that we do also. But it's not just about mundane house stuff. Well, actually, I should say there are even more mundane stuff like making appointments, filling out passport forms, like for renewals. Like we do a lot of those things as well. And things like birthday parties. So I always use Yohana myself to plan my kids' birthday parties. Actually, it's gotten to a point where when I do it, apparently it's worse than when Yohana helps me. So my kids are starting to ask, like, my birthday's coming up, and then can you ask Yohana ahead of time so that my birthday be great?
So
So
walk me through that a little bit. What do you mean that how does it plan a birthday for you?
yeah,
What does that mean?
so yeah, it's okay. So I can walk you through. So I first, so Yohana has an app.
Hmm.
Become a member, download it. We have a team of specialists who's assigned behind to help all the time. So I say, my son's birthday is coming up in 2 weeks, and then I should plan sooner, but I usually don't plan sooner. So then I go like blah blah's birthday, 10-year-old birthday coming up, and then this is the day. Then basically the team jumps in, asks me the right questions. Say, how old, what is he like? What do approximately how about size on a home, some other sites, then so I basically think about all those things a little bit and then say, this is the parameter I want. They say, got it. And then they, a little bit later, they send me proposals of what the birthday could be. So I'll give you even two examples. One, we really like, this is a real story of my kids. So
Okay.
the most recent birthday party was for my son, who is way into cars. And he said, anything related to cars, and I don't want to invite too many friends. I just want to have, 6 to 8 kids. And that we want to drive cars. And I'm like, wait, but you're a 10-year-old. Like, what are you talking about? Like driving cars? She's like, I don't care. Just I want to drive cars. So, okay, got it. Right. So, and then he likes color orange and all those things. And I just feed that information. And what came back was this awesome place I never knew, which is like a fast adult version of go-karting
Mm.
place that we could go and that they can race around indoor. So, and their minimum head count was 8. And I told my sons, if you can find 8 kids to go with, and then we're in. So worked with Yohana to book the place, named those 8 kids. They did everything behind the scene. So we ended up with that place to go on a birthday. And plus, Yohana was, looking ahead for me and said, how about the cake? How about the lunch? How about the invitation? And I said, yes, 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 please take care of all of those. So they were able to actually get, source the cake specifically from New York, some tasty chocolate cake that my son wanted. Amazing, like
Wow.
mind readers. And then lunch was taken care of with, one of the kids who invited was gluten-free. We were able to arrange that, no problem. So on the day of the birthday, it was easy. Like it was just, I basically knew that lunch was taken care of, the cake was taken care of, the place was taken care of, the people invited, they RSVP'd. I just showed up with my son. All the kids showed up. I got to pretty much enjoy the show as it played out. It was
Wow.
amazing. Yeah.
So how does that work with like service providers for, say, the lunch, the cake, all of those things? As far as the cost, I would imagine there's some kind of a premium that you're paying for having all of those things lined up, or how does that work with the cost of that, all the services?
So like booking the birthday, like renting the space and the cakes are on a member to pay for,
Mm-hmm.
but we are the ones, we find the right places. We are building our own Yohana network of amazing partners who make amazing cakes, who,
Mm-hmm.
hold amazing birthday parties. And that those are the places with feedback from all different members of which places are great for certain type of family. Of course, it depends on who you are. And so, of course, similar families like you may have enjoyed this venue, and then other types of family may enjoy different venue, right?
Mm.
So we take that in mind and then we make recommendations.
So if there are people listening right now that have businesses and want to be a part of this, and do they sign up on your website? Is that how they become a partner, or how does that work for the business, people who are business owners and wanting to be a part of this?
Yes. So we have a portal that they can go and then sign up to be a partner. And once they sign up, we will match up with the members, and then we'll start to flow some business we'll flow some people to your business.
Oh, that's really cool. So it's not
Yeah,
only connecting people and communities, but it's giving people opportunity for business too, which I think is
absolutely.
fantastic. Like small
Yeah.
businesses now more than ever need that kind of support. So yay, that's amazing. What would you think is one of the biggest, or even just a few, some moments where you felt like, wow, this is working and it's like my vision coming to life?
Yeah, so there were two different ways that I feel that we're giving that mental space to people. One is the ability to be present in the moment.
Mm,
Right, so this birthday example, usually as many parents during your kid's birthday party, you're running around because, oh gosh, I forgot to buy favor, right? Like party favor, like, oh, I'll be right back. Or like cake hasn't arrived, cake has to be cut. Like I have to get the plates.
hmm.
So that's how it goes during birthday parties. But I didn't have to do any of that. I was there watching my sons, taking videos, enjoying, giving high fives. That space, be present for that moment and be that mom who's proud that your son is turning, when you're older. I think that is something that's priceless that I get from Yohana that we're giving to people. So that's one thing. The other is time back, actual physical minutes back.
Hmm.
One of the members said that we're giving 8 to 10 hours every week back to her,
Wow.
which is insane, right?
Yeah.
But that's time, and then I feel it too. So because I've delegated a few things that had to be done that day, usually those are the things that haunts me in the evening time. And then, the kids go to sleep early because I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But I remember that one day that I had, I'm like, wait, I don't have to do those. Actually, those are delegated, those are taken care of. I'm like, hey, do you want to read a book with me? And my son was so delighted. So I had that moment. We read for a long time, maybe like 40 minutes, because he also thought it was such a precious moment.
Mm.
So we read and told stories. We changed the stories, and then we talked about what if this ending was different. But that was time I got back because of Yohana. And for me, that day was maybe about 45 minutes, but that's significant.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, the gift of time is something that we can't get back. It's not like this infinite resource. So I think that that's so cool that you're creating an opportunity for teamwork. I mean, a big part of what I help a lot of entrepreneurs with is hiring their first virtual assistant. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is so, it's like hiring assistants in so many different areas of your life, which we all need. So that's really exciting. I'm
Yeah.
curious, for you, if I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that just first things that pop off your head. I'm curious about this. So, do you have a morning routine?
Yes, I do. Yes. I what I do usually is that I make time for myself. Um, I usually make sure to not open my phone or my
Mm,
computer, and that because those things stress me out. Like, oh my God, like
yes.
I'm gonna cancel everything because I have to deal with this. So I make sure to not do that, and then I work out or meditate, and I make time for myself to get that day started.
Mhm.
The steps that I absolutely need to get, the cardiovascular activity that I need to get, the strength, and then again, that centering, the meditation. So I do that on morning days and every morning. Silly other things that I do. I love drinking green drink
Mhm.
every morning. So it's like blended, celery, cucumber, lemon, just apple. Like that's how I start my day. Just cleanses my internal feeling and organs, as well as then after that, I drink double bergamot Earl Grey tea with milk, and that
Oh.
just sets my morning going.
What is the name of the tea again?
It's Earl Grey. Earl
Earl
Grey
Grey.
actually has that flowery flavor. It's called bergamot.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I like that so much that I have this called a double bergamot, like this like really flowery version of Earl Grey.
Oh, I'll have to look that up. I
Yeah.
will get that from you because I'm not great at drinking herbal teas. I know they're so good for you. So I'm always asking people like what actually tastes good because I can do a green drink, but I just haven't, I think tea is a part of not my culture. And so I've never grown up drinking tea and I know it's so good for your health. So I appreciate you sharing that. And if you do, I'll share that link so people can check that out too. Okay. So what are three of your favorite books that you've read in your life?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. So there's a book called Brave New World
Mhm.
by Eckhart Tolle. He really he puts it in the preface of the book and said, this book may not be a great book for many of you. And this book may be the book that would awake you. And I was one of those people who was awoken by that book. I read the book and I realized that this is all about being present and being mindful. It was
Mm.
amazing. So I read it, and of course, I actually also heard part of it in a audiobook when I was driving in Sonoma Coast. So like it goes with a beautiful picture of Sonoma County that I'm driving through. Oh my God, it was so great. But um, I learned to let go my past, and I learned to let go my future and live in this very moment, and then reflect every day. There are multiple points of days that I feel like I come back to and say, am I feeling it? Is this it? That I'm feeling it. This is the present moment, right? And then I'm able to do that thanks to the book. So it is, I will put that number one. Um,
Awesome.
Two books. I will sure. There's a book called Corporate Explorer. Sorry, this is like really business oriented and boring,
That's
maybe, but
okay. Yeah.
so this book is about how to transform companies or how to transform the world in different ways. Of course, startups were the ways to change, like to start new concept in the past, but these days there are people who are doing what I'm doing, which is from the inside of a large company, almost like starting a startup internally as a way to transform. And I'm enjoying it because it is not a bad way to go to transform. There's ways to scale faster or better sometimes by
Mhm.
doing it this way. And then this book talks about that. So I really like that. Um, and I would say I read a book, third book about parenting. I often read about, always about learning through books in terms of how to run a company or how to run my mom business.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a book written by I think I can't remember her name right now, but I think it's Esther. Um, I'll get to that. But anyway, there's a book which is about how to parent well. Um, and also it taught me, and I'll get you that book name another time, but it taught me to treat your kids as an adult.
Mm.
Um, you can't say you're 10, so you don't understand. You can't do that, right? You have to treat them as an adult. And then if I remember when I was a kid, and even when I was 5 years old, I thought I was an adult,
Mm-hmm.
and I was allowed to make all this adult level decisions. So that's what I do with my kids. When I talk to them, I think of them as my friends, um, and, adults. And I treat them that way to have conversations. And I think I have much better relationship with my kids because of that book.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. There was a teacher that I had when I was a senior in high school, and she told me, the children that you talk to, or the children that you have, they're just little people. They're
Yeah.
smaller. They're just little people. So you get down to their level and you talk to them like people.
Mm,
And that always stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, they're people. They're just little people. Like, just like
yeah.
you're saying, you talk to them with respect and with reason, and that, even if they're having big emotions, to allow for that. And because we're allowed big emotions too, and we're much older, so I
So
love
true.
that you said that, because it's true that we all deserve respect. And when you are that age, you're like, I know everything, no matter what age that is. I think then you get older and you're like, oh shoot, there's so much I don't know, right? As you get
It's
older.
so true. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this episode is going to be going live in January. And I'm curious, are you a New Year's resolution person, or how do you treat the new year? Is there something like that you do in celebration of that, or in, making goals?
Absolutely. So it was my family tradition with my parents. And then now I make it a tradition with my kids, is to watch the last sunset of the year.
Oh, I like that.
And with my family, we used to actually watch the first sunrise of the year, which
Mm.
with 4 kids, I'm failing to do, dragging them out of
Well,
but anyway, so, and
we'll
sometimes
stick with sunset. Yeah.
yeah. So, and then make that wish for the next year. And I already know what my New Year's resolution is, which is to get help from Yohana enough so that I make time for myself to get back into playing piano.
Oh, I like that. That's very
Mm-hmm.
specific. Did you play piano as a child, or was it? Yeah.
I played piano as a child, and I felt that it was forced on me, so I didn't like it. But
Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoy music very much. So after my parents said it's okay to not play, I missed it. So I
Yeah.
went right back into it myself, and I even entered some piano contests and all those things on my own. And then I don't know, music, something, it just really, like, the feeling that it vibrates my bones to the
Mm-hmm.
core. I go in and, listen to people who can just put their emotion into the music. And I love doing that. So it's a one way for me to do that expression of myself, and also to feel that, I don't know, connections to the nature, all of that comes through music for me. So I really want to go back and make that time. A little bit, just a few minutes every day, or like, once a week is fine, like whatever I can squeeze in. I need to make that time. And then I have learned to let go, and I cannot do that. So
Yeah.
that's my New Year resolution.
Yay. Well, because you're a tech girl, this may be something you love. There's an app called Simply Piano, and you
Mm.
set it up on your piano, and it teaches you how to play the piano and read music, but it can tell through the tone of the notes that you play how many times you've gone through it, and you can move on to the next level
Oh
of
my
like
gosh, that's
learning a
hilarious.
song. It is so cool. And it works with
Yeah.
keyboards as well.
Mm.
For me personally, my daughter learns piano this way, and I'm like, oh, if I could have learned it, like gamifies it in a way, but it's
Yeah.
like trendy fun songs too, or classics. So I'm
So
like,
good.
I'm like, gosh, if my parents would have, same thing, like they forced me to practice, and I was like, had I had that, it would have been way more fun. So you might
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah, that's great. I'll use that with my son too. I think
Yeah.
that would be great. Yeah.
Well, this has been so wonderful. I just look at you and how much you've done already, and think of everything you're going to bring to the world. Just so many good things. And through Yohana and your project of bringing that to the world, I'm so grateful for you for sacrificing your time and
Oh,
bringing
geez.
us balance in such a busy world. Like, for real, it takes people like you that care about family to create product that supports family, because tech is going to happen no matter what. So having someone like you in the forefront of that just means the world. So I'm just so grateful to you for that.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for saying all that. I did not mean to or ever care to get all these things under my belt. I just really followed passion and then mission. And oh my gosh, I'm here and super excited to help everybody, help you, become who you want to be. So any way that I can help, feel free to contact me. Feel free to enroll in Yohana. Love to work with you. This is why I'm here, to be as close to those people that I can help as possible. So thanks for letting me do this today.
Of course.
It's been really fun. Yeah.
Oh, you're so welcome. And please tell our audience where they can find you and find Yohana and the best way to connect with you.
Absolutely. So Yohana, the spelling is Yohana. So yohana.com. That's where you can find the company. We are also on Instagram for @joinyohana. I'm also on Instagram at Yoky Matsuoka. Again, if you can spell my name, then you will
link
find
it.
me.
Yes, we will link it for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, happy holidays and happy new year. And thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh my gosh. Thanks, Camille.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening to this episode. If you are listening to this and inspired of starting something new or freeing up more time, I have solutions for you, as I am offering mom life and business balance coaching. That's something that I love more than anything else in the world, is helping you to find a balance that works just for you. Also, if you're looking for a virtual assistant, I am lining up graduates from my 60 Days to VA program with entrepreneurs that are busy. If you're looking to launch a new business as a virtual assistant, that is something I can help you with as well. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and you can check out all of these resources for free at camillewalker.co and book a free discovery call with me. I hope to talk to you soon. Hey CEOs, thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, please let me know in a comment and a 5-star review. You could have the chance of being a featured review on an upcoming episode. Continue the conversation on Instagram at Call Me CEO Podcast. And remember, you are the boss.